Welcome to our regular meeting of council in person and live streamed electronically, Tuesday, September 2nd. Opening of our meeting, our upcoming events. The Ghosts of Fort Henry bus trip and walking tour is being held on Saturday, September 6th. Cost per person is $30 and includes the pit barbecue dinner at the Forget Me Not Club starting at 5 p.m. Contact the township office to reserve your space. For those interested in attending the pit barbecue, who are not participating in the Ghost of Fort Henry bus trip and walking tour, the cost is $20 per person, free for those under 12. The event is on Saturday, September 6th from 5 p.m. until 7 p.m. at Rosedale Hall. Tickets are available from any firefighter at the township office and at the door. Weekly yoga will be starting at Rosedale Hall on Wednesday, September 10th at 6:30 p.m. The cost is $60 per person for a 12-week session. Contact the township office to register. The new Fire and Public Works Complex open house is scheduled for Saturday, September 20th from 11 a.m. until 2 p.m. Join us for a tour of the new building and a barbecue lunch prepared by the Rapid Relief team. A bracelet making workshop is being held at Rosedale Hall on Tuesday, September 23rd, beginning at 7 p.m. Cost is $15 per person. There will be a cash bar opening at 6:30 p.m. Contact the township to register. Mighty Machines will be taking place at Smiths Falls Montague Airport on Saturday, October 4th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Tickets are available at the event, and please note that this event is cash only. Be sure to follow the township's Facebook page for more details. The MRCC's annual Christmas market is being held at Rosedale Hall on Saturday, November 15th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. If you are interested in being a vendor at this event, please contact the Recreation Committee or the Township Office. Our land acknowledgement. The council and staff at the Township of Montague acknowledge that this sacred land on which the Township of Montague is now located and this meeting is being held is the ancestral and unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation. We'll have a moment of silence, please. Thank you. We moved by Councillor Johnson and seconded by Councillor Abbas. The regular meeting of council agenda dated September 2nd, 2025 be approved as presented this date. All in favor? And that's carried. Disclosure of interest now at any time during the meeting. Moved by Councillor Crabtree, seconded by Deputy Reeve Carroll, that the minutes of the regular meeting of council dated August 5th, 2025 be approved as presented this date. All in favor? That's carried. Any business arising from our minutes of our previous meeting? We have no delegations, deputations. So the first we have is a report of municipal officers is Clerk Planning Manager, Kristen Cote.
Thank you, Chair. The report you have before you this evening is with respect to our traffic and parking bylaw. So I would say that's probably one of the #1 complaints that we do receive with respect to Public Works, has to do with parking on roads within the township. And reviewing our current traffic bylaw revealed that it was a bit deficient in its enforcement provisions. The County of Lanark also has a parking bylaw which delegates their enforcement powers to the township. And unfortunately, our bylaw only allowed for our bylaw enforcement officer to enforce the provisions related to stopping, standing, and parking of vehicles. So the red line document that's attached to this report addresses those deficiencies by allowing for Public Works and the municipal manager to also have enforcement provisions to have vehicles towed, for example, and also correct some legislative inconsistencies within that document. If anyone has any questions?
Just one. So when we have a bylaw like this, so it's just for traffic calming, I guess, or parking. Does that also extend that bylaw into speed limits on different roads, or is that a separate bylaw?
So like, it's all within this one bylaw and the police have the authority, obviously to address speeding complaints. This is more to deal with the inclusion of enforcement provisions for our municipal staff to address parking along roads.
So if we wanted to address, because I'm getting more and more complaints about speed limits on different roads,
Okay,
where would we address that if it's not from this?
there's a schedule attached that has our speed regulations on Appendix B. That has speed limits that are other than your standard 80s or 50s under the Highway Traffic Act.
Okay, thank you.
From the complaints that you're, sorry, Jared, what are the complaints you get, like, if people are saying like they think they're speeding on the roads, or they're just.
Yeah, a lot of that where 80 is, they think it's just too fast for a lot of the gravel roads and all that, and especially in the east end of the township. So it's that, and they also, Merrickville on one of the ones like Birchill, for instance, has now dropped down to 50. Whereas our part's 80. So that's the questions that they're starting to ask now as well. How can you change stuff like that? And I think we're gonna get a group from that area down, around McRae and some other place like that, where they wanna talk about speed limits and stuff, because if they're doing 80, they're really doing 100.
We have a policy for that, you can probably touch on that a little more.
Yeah, so Chair, through you. So we do, to make sure that everyone is treated equitably. If there's a concern with, speeding, because sometimes perception and actual data are two different things, especially on a gravel road. So whenever we get a formal complaint, we then put the black cats or the armadillos up, so people can't see them. They don't even know they're there. It's not like the flashing signs where people
Right.
sometimes drive fast to see how fast they can go. And then we take that data. And we've done it on Birchill before, and the actual average speed was less than 60 kilometers an hour on Birchill. Just based on, so perception sometimes and actual speed are two different things. You're always gonna get the odd person that is flying on every road that you have. And so that's always the process. So anybody who's contacting you, the first process is to make a formal complaint about the speeding so that we have it documented, and then Public Works goes and puts out the armadillos. We have a couple sets of them now. And we get the actual data. And if the data is showing that they're speeding or showing that a certain percentile, then we potentially deal with the police for traffic calming measures or what we can do. So that first step is fill in the formal complaint, and even if they come to council, that's gonna be the process, because we've implemented it to make sure that it is the process. And then we put them out, we get the real data, we share that data with the complainants,
Okay,
so they know what came back, and we go from there.
okay, perfect, yeah, because a couple of the neighbors are Birchill, and I remember chatting about, because I remember you talking about that, and then it's McRae, and then Richardson.
Yep.
So right in there, and that both doesn't matter to them, but it's that McRae where it's paved, it's, they talk about like it's a speed rate, a raceway or something like that, but
Yeah,
okay, so I'll chat with them again. And talk about a formal complaint.
tell them to reach out to us, we'll send them the form, they just need to
Okay.
fill it in so that we know the locations that they're looking at, so that we can get traffic from both sides,
Okay.
basically. To get good data.
Okay, perfect,
Yeah.
okay,
It also tends, I find, to be in our rural area. It's usually the same ones that are speeding.
yeah,
So the other best way, and that was directly from the OPP, is if you get the license plate, they can actually show up and they'll actually just give them a formal complaint.
oh,
And if they get multiple complaints, they'll deal with it on their end. So just because I find usually on certain roads, you can almost say at 2 o'clock, okay, there goes Jimmy in the white truck, you know, it's just, so it's another way to deal with the one-offs.
thank you, Charlie, you need to take everybody off top, but
No, it's all, it's not on topic.
Yeah, no, and then the data is really interesting, and then we have a lot of data on our roads right now, you probably didn't like, that you'd be sharing with, and you can see it, and it tells you what it is, because remember when we went through Birchill Road too as well, we got the data and everything else, we went through that process to make sure that the average speed was, you're right, like 57 kilometers an hour. So like and yes, there always are those.
Yeah.
Always.
And like, and I always, my line is always, it's hard to fix stupid in that sense, but but you're gonna have those people, but for the most part, it's good data, so I do have some points on this one, I just have some questions about. Just about the, first part, was just some of the legal parts, so that under the definitions, but person with a disability, I wonder, is it better just to list the ORAG from the Ontario's website of what that is, in case there's a change to that, we don't have to worry about updating it, instead of listing it all out?
ODO.
We just say as per, like, we have it in there a little bit, but just as per the regulations, so if there is any changes, you don't miss it, or, and also in that reg, it talks about the past and everything else too as well, and it just makes it simplistic or not, so it's just sort of a thought process, either or, but I just thought it might be easier, especially sometimes if we miss it, or if it comes back, or if there's a change in what that person with a disability has, then at least it's just referencing the ORAG, and we don't have to worry about about what our listing says.
That's no problem. You're talking about the definition of person with a disability.
Yes, yeah.
So, I mean, the last section says as defined under ORAG 581 of the Highway Traffic Act, we can.
That's what
we can
spurred me to
definitely-
saying, what if we just left it as that, because as defined as, and then if there's any change with that, anything going on with that, and we miss it, or whatever that might happen, at least it's just there, and we don't have to worry about listing all of the different things that the person might be, because that there could be changes to that, and we may miss that to change. Sorry, bear with me, I had a 6.0. No owner or operator of vehicle shall allow such vehicle to remain parked or standing in any street within the limits of town for a unreasonable length of time. I'm wondering, do we define what
Yeah.
unreasonable length of time is? Did I miss something there, or is it?
It's defined as a period in excess of 4 consecutive hours.
So should that say that in a 6.0, or is
It's
that,
in the definitions.
so that's where it says, okay, so that's where I might have missed that, which is great if I missed it, so it's good. So the unreasonable, so that can be referenced back, the unreasonable state of time can be back to the time.
Yeah, it says unreasonable length of time under definitions means a period in excess of 4 consecutive
4 hours, okay,
hours.
sorry, I missed that in the definitions when I
Yeah.
looked to the definition, so it's perfect, as long as it refers back. And the other one that I was wondering about is the last one, is a vehicle which is obstruct snow removal shall be removed and taken to and stored in a safe place. And I'm wondering, is us stating a safe place, does that put us in a legal issue at all by saying it's a safe place? If something were to happen to that vehicle, then does that make us liable? Is saying that's a safe place, is that the,
Sorry, could you,
sorry,
what section that was?
that's in, sorry, it's across the 9.0.
If a tow truck picks it up though and takes it to their spot, that should be their responsibility. Cause they won't put the car back.
It is, I don't know, and that's what I'm asking, if we stake in a safe place in our thing, and the person comes back and says, well, you say in your bylaw that it goes to a safe place, well, it wasn't sent to a safe place. So I don't know if that makes a difference or not, or,
Yeah, do you want me to?
Sure.
Okay, so, yeah, so no matter what, as soon as, if we have it towed, the towing company is responsible for that vehicle and they have to take it to their locked or whatever, and it's usually locked up. If they don't have a location, we allow them to bring them here and we lock them up here. So to us, that's a safe place,
Okay.
that we make sure that they're looked after. I think that we have to take some liability in the sense that if we have it moved, we can't take it to a dump and say, trash it, right?
yeah,
That people need to realize that we're not taking it and disposing of it, that we are bringing it to a place where it should be unobstructed from anything, from that purpose. We haven't had to do this, usually warnings are enough,
100%, yeah.
to make people move. But I do think that this is potentially, we've hooked up to vehicles before, and people came out and moved them and did not park them there again. I think that, again, if it depends, so we have some places that they have nowhere to put them, we allow them to come here. So I do think we have some responsibility to ensure that those vehicles are in a safe place for moving them.
Fair enough, I just wanna make sure that we get like.
Yeah, sorry, just on it, can we then change the word to secure location as opposed to a safe location?
They may not be always
But
secure.
I'm not sure that where the tow companies would take them would necessarily be secure, but they're gonna take them to a place where it's safe, like a parking area.
No, yeah.
So I'm
Most
not
times
sure
they
what
take
the
it back.
wording would be. Maybe we could say safe or secure location.
So like in Ottawa, the way it works is they move them, because they're trying to clear all the way so everyone can plow, so they don't wanna drive necessarily to their actual location, so they'll move it a road over or a parking lot over.
We're not
or-
doing that.
No, and
Okay.
that's what I'm saying, but like, depends on where it is, like, if you're near Merrickville, there might not be a towing, so is there a parking lot there? I think that's why they're wording it in such an informal way.
So for us, we will not just put it onto another road or somewhere. It'll either be coming back here if the tow company has no location to bring it. Yeah,
I know they bring them right next door to me. To the lad there, they've done it for a long time, and they just come in and it's secure as far as there, but there's not like locked gates and everything else.
Mhm.
But he's responsible, like sitting there, and they don't get the car back to the state, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was more bringing up the fact when we say in
Yeah.
a safe location, if that comes back to saying, well, it wasn't put into a safe. And you towed it off your road and you said it would go to a safe location. And now it's not in a safe location, so that you're liable for the damage that happened to it because you said in your thing that it says safe location. And I don't know if there's any legal pieces of that or not. It just kind of set up a red flag for me.
So Chair to you, I think that it's really up to council. I think that we do have some due diligence that we have to ensure that if we are moving somebody's vehicle, that we are bringing it to a place that we deem safe. That's not gonna get hit or stolen or something along those lines. We can remove safe location, just put a location. Or a location as deemed appropriate by the township. That would remove safe, but then what's appropriate
It's
mean,
appropriate,
right?
yeah, yeah.
So, I feel like we might find ourselves in that situation anyways, and I think no matter what, we will be 1% liable to ensure that we did the right thing with that vehicle. Hopefully we
What if
never
put a
have
safe
to.
Place that we are not liable for. I don't even know, like I'd say, and once again, if it's
Yeah.
something that is not needed, these are true one-offs, but who knows, like I'd say, that's why I just bring it up, so.
So like, it's interesting, because now with that technology going the way it has, we were in Ottawa and a guy was going to park a car underneath. And just to take care of liability on his part, he actually went and did it once over and took 4 pictures of the vehicle, because even though he's doing a good job, you know, you show up and you tow a car 2 blocks into a nice here, and they find a scratch on their passenger door, and well, they say it's not theirs, and well, is it? I think it's one of those things that's, you can only do your due diligence and be as careful as you can, and you just gotta hope that it never gets to that point and you just don't park there.
I'm quite fine with the words that say any vehicle which obstructs snow removal shall be removed. Boom. They're being removed. So tow truck removes them, it goes wherever, you know. I don't think we need to say that we're gonna store it safely at all. Your vehicle will be removed.
Plain and
That's
simple,
plain and simple, done.
That's
And that's it.
I like that.
snow parking and no
Yeah,
parking.
just shall be removed. Boom.
She gone.
So you're leaving it up to us where they go?
Well, if it's a tow truck, the company that's called,
They'll have
the
a-
tow truck company usually takes it somewhere.
Yeah, what we've gotten lately though is that they don't have anywhere to put it. So we have that with a
So-
number of items with bylaw. And sometimes we don't want them here either. So,
How do you notify where they're going?
Hmm?
So if you, for instance,
they'll call the office.
okay.
Yeah.
They just assume that you guys towed it.
We have not towed it. Like the one time that we hooked up, they came out and got in their vehicle, and started driving with it hooked up. So, that's the closest we've ever had, and hopefully we don't have to go that route, but unfortunately lately I think we are going to have some that are being towed. Not even necessarily off our roadways, but the county roadways. So I mean, if council's good with that, then I think it kind of leaves it just open as far as we're removing it.
And that's it. It's like, we don't know, because it could be the local tow truck company that's gonna take it. It could be one out of Ottawa. It goes to Ottawa. And then they have to go to get it out of Ottawa. It's just, and it shall be removed.
I think we're good with that.
That's it for me, thanks.
So just to confirm, those amendments would be the person with the disability would be as defined under the Highway Traffic Act, and section 9.0 would be amended to any vehicle which obstructs snow removal shall be removed, period. Correct.
And hopefully, I mean, the number of areas that state no parking and are very clear with arrows. You know, once we are able to start and enforce this bylaw, they get the hint, because it's like there are a specific area when you cannot see, and I know there are people that have almost been hit.
Mhm.
I almost got hit at that same intersection, and had I been hit, the individual that was responsible definitely would have been paid deeply. It's like the sign is right at their vehicle where they're parked.
So, and Chair, through you, I think that council just needs to realize that if we tow somebody, we'll give you kind of a heads up, because you're probably more than likely going to get a phone call. We'll let you know, again, hopefully one-offs.
Mhm.
But there are a couple of
Yep.
areas that we're having issues, even though there's been ample warnings provided. So, just keep in mind, we'll keep you advised, but that you may get calls.
I circled back, the number of signs that are telling this one area, no parking, and the arrows are going. And I pulled up and I looked, and it's like, there's the sign, there's the vehicle, and I did this to the individual. It's like, are you kidding me?
The county even put up in large.
It's huge.
No parking
is.
signs there
They are.
because it was an issue and continues to be an issue, so.
Yep.
Yeah, just keep in mind that,
It's amazing the people that don't look at no parking signs. The one thing I go back to, I go to the school and I'm at the school and I walk out and there's like people sitting under it and I walk up the door, the windows, and I knock on the door. I'm like, well, I'm picking up my kid. I'm like, so is everybody else.
Yeah.
But when you pull out, you're gonna hit somebody.
Yeah.
Don't park underneath the no parking sign. It's there for a reason. For when we're getting the kid there to the school. It's amazing the disregard behind it. So I'd say,
but in council, just for clarity to the public too, we always provide notice first on your windshield saying, please, this is no parking zone, please don't park there. It's not just we automatic winter operations, completely different situation, but for these instances, and some have gotten 3 notices at this point in time, so it's going to be escalated. But I just want you to know that we always provide a notice on the windshield first, to provide that notice.
Question. If a tow truck's called to come to a situation. And somebody comes out and says, oh no, I'm gonna move it and I do everything else, does the tow truck company charge them like $100?
They charge
for not
us.
taking it? Oh, they charge us, so do we get the money back then from them doing that?
No,
But if we've called the tow truck company,
you already find them.
they should, at that point in time, still be removing it.
they won't. It's the people come and move it before they are
Oh,
hooked up
before they
to
get
it.
there, yeah, no, but
Yeah, no, it comes to
Is
us.
there a drop fee? Does the tow truck drop, like if they hook up, do they charge a drop fee?
If they hook up, well, we haven't towed a truck.
Oh, yeah, we
So
haven't.
if they tow a vehicle, the person will have to pay the full fee to get their vehicle back.
No, it's just that it's like a lot of them, once they hook up, there's a drop fee. It's a,
I think that's what I was
it's
But we haven't. We had the one that hooked onto the vehicle and he drove it, like basically, he only charged us basically a full. It wasn't,
that's the drop fee.
well, but you're charged that no matter what, as soon as they show up on site. So, because we've had them show up on site and the people moved it, it's the same fee, whether they're hooked up or not. So, we've had that, but we can't get that money back.
The drop fee though actually,
And they should
and
pay
gives
them
them $100.
That's not, yeah, no, they billed us because we're the ones that called them to come and do it.
Yeah, that's just.
So keep in mind that we're not gonna do this between 9 and 4.
So you're making sure that, because you've given warnings, you've done everything, this isn't
Yeah.
going to be.
These will be after hours. Yeah.
there can be instances where it is during 9 to
Oh,
4.
potentially, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, I think it's great. I think this cleans up a lot of the stuff too as well. I think it's great that it gives some power to as well to help the
Yeah.
residents overall. So.
Listen, again, it's not supposed to be a punishment, it's just supposed to be, hey, can you please, do your due diligence, can you follow rules? And if you don't, then it does give us that opportunity, because I don't think any one of us want to tow anybody's vehicle.
No.
So I just want to make sure that everybody kind of understands that this is not meant to be a punishment. This is if you can't follow the rules, and we don't have any choice but to.
We've actually been pushed this far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, yeah. So, thank you.
Well, just the amount of close calls for some of it, and it's like, it's scary. So moved by Councillor Bass and seconded by Councillor Johnson, that council pass the attached traffic and parking bylaw as per the draft.
Amended.
The draft amended,
Mhm.
presented this date. All in favor? And that's carried. Moved by Deputy Reeve Carroll and seconded by Councillor Crabtree. That council approve the minutes of the committee of the whole meeting dated August 5th, 2025, and approve the recommendations contained within. All in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor Johnson, seconded by Councillor Abbas, that bylaw 4166/2025, being a bylaw to adopt a dress code policy for employees of the Township of Montague, be read a first, second, and third time and passed, signed, and sealed this second day of September 2025. All in favor? That's carried. Moved by Councillor Crabtree, seconded by Deputy Reeve Carroll, that bylaw 4167/2025, being a bylaw to regulate traffic and parking within the Township of Montague, be read a first, second, and third time and passed, signed, and sealed this second day of September 2025. All in favor? That's carried. Moved by Deputy Reeve Carroll, seconded by Councillor Crabtree, that council direct staff to bring a report forward on land severances and the studies that may be required by the township, such as, but not limited to, environmental impact study, hydrogeological study, archaeological study, with an education piece on why the studies are required and what other municipalities in Leonard County require similar studies. All in favor?
Oh, I got a question first.
Okay, sorry.
Can we just make sure that it's not just for land severances though, it's also for like any type of land alteration, so it could be like lot additions, it could be like those kind of changes that might be brought up too as well, I don't know if that.
Mhm.
That,
Like on
Planning
planning
file.
like sort of
applications.
planning, yeah, thank you, like planning files and planning, yeah, applications.
So instead of the word land severances, but planning applications?
Yeah. My just clarification on this is there a time frame that council is looking for this to come back, just because?
There's a lot on staff's plate right now,
Yeah.
so this is not something that is like an urgent thing that needs to be done. So,
Okay.
in my opinion, sorry, I don't want to speak about, I know I brought this motion forward.
Okay,
This is not something that needs to be done, in my opinion, right away. I just think it's a great piece of communication information that if it, comes after budget, that's like, budget is obviously way more important.
okay,
We just want to make sure that, in my opinion, we're just doing our due diligence of this, of understanding everything that we're asking people to do. And I think it's an important piece for council to understand. So, yeah, anyways, if everybody else is sort of on that same page, it's like, yeah, like this is not a before budget, I think.
okay,
So I've changed to read that council directs staff to bring a report forward on planning applications and the studies that may be required by the township, such as but not limited to environmental impact study, hydrogeological study, archaeological study, with an education piece on why the studies are required and what other municipalities in our county require similar studies. Okay, all in favor? Carried. So we have no action items. Anything business, so before we switch over, no questions of the audience, no questions online. Moved by Councillor Bass, seconded by Councillor Johnson, that council recess the council meeting at 6:29 PM. All in favor? And that's carried.
Welcome to committee of whole, in person, live stream electronically, Tuesday, September 2nd, 2025. Opening of meeting, land acknowledgement. The council and staff of Township of Montague acknowledge that this is the sacred land on which the Township of Montague is now located, and the meeting is being held in the ancestral and unceded territory of the Algonquin and Anishinaabe Nation. Adoption of agenda. The committee of whole agenda dated September 2nd, 2025 be approved and presented this date. All in favor? Carried. So our first one, report of municipal officers, municipal manager, treasurer, deputy clerk, Allison Bracken. Donation to Rapid Relief Team, September 20th, 2025, open house.
Thank you, Chair. So our open house for the new complex is slated for September 20th, 11 to 1, which is a Saturday. There's gonna be some components to it that won't be completely finalized, like IT and things like that, but I actually think it's almost beneficial as opposed to having a whole bunch of people walking around with all of our stuff up and functioning. So, with that being said, the Rapid Relief Team out of Perth, so they basically use these types of opportunities to practice or prepare for emergency situations where they're preparing food. It's at no cost to the municipality. We do think that it would be highly recommended to provide a donation to the Rapid Relief Team. They're going to do hamburgers, chips, and drinks I originally put about 100 to 150 meals for the day. So it is recommended that we at least provide a donation of $500 for the work that they would do, because it takes a substantial amount of work off us and council. It gives them an opportunity to practice, but I think it also builds that good working relationship. We are hoping that they will come out and assist us for the Fire 50th next year as well. So it is recommended that we provide something because it does definitely have a big value for our day.
I think it's great. I move that we do a donation of $750. And I think that's great, and I think it's a great group of people too as well, a great program, so I think that'd be worthwhile, and I definitely take the side off of the food for us too as well, so I think that'd be great.
So I was actually going to recommend 1,000. And the only reason I say that is I've done ones like this, and that's usually around the cost. So it would cover the whole cost, give them the opportunity, and if there is any extra money left over, we do have money left over in our budget for donations. And I think this would be a good charitable cause, but I think either number would be a fair number. And it's, again, going to a good cause, gives them the opportunity, shows some good faith, and at least we'll not put them in the negative. It covers the cost. That's just my opinion.
We got two
I think
numbers.
I got two numbers out there.
So, remember, if it's 100 people, $1,000 is an even amount, so I mean, it's a little bit less if it's 150 that attend, but so $1,000 is definitely an okay amount with me.
I'd like it for $1,000, but I'm good with $1,000, you say?
Sure.
Done.
So $1,000.
Thank you, council. And that will be funded out of your donation line, but there's still $4,000 for.
All in favor of that?
Have to have a motion and a seconder, or is it just the vote?
He reads it already.
You just didn't say by.
Oh, you just didn't read it.
Oh, sorry.
The guy's a big deal.
Yeah, sorry, I apologize. Let me do the official portion of it. So I'm gonna get this right by my last one. So Ali did mention I only got a few more times of this, and I will get it right eventually.
You can pick on Trevor next.
That's right, Trevor's
I'm,
on.
by the way, so looking forward to it.
You were on deck, eh? You were on deck.
Oh, I did not know.
So, the council approves a donation in the amount of the $1,000 I filled in to the Rapid Relief Team to acknowledge our appreciation for the participation in the new fire hall opening on September 20th, 2025. All in favor? Motion is carried, is already signed.
The chair, on that note too as well, Reeve and I did mention during economic development, meeting, at the county. Kind of talked about what events are coming up. We talked about our pit barbecue. We also talked about the opening of our hall too as well. So hoping that we also invited all of our friends around the county too as well to
That makes sense, because we're getting people showing up here wanting to do walkthroughs, and they're calling, so that makes sense, they were like, did you put something up, like, no.
But we did state the date.
we did say, we said the 20th.
Well, they're all coming ahead of
Oh, we
time,
said, okay, right.
yeah.
The date was stated, and I know that because I did hear from the warden asking specific time and
Yeah.
stuff.
Okay.
So we're taking bookings for walkthrough.
$20
Goes to the charity of our trust.
I was gonna say perfect food drive, yeah, that's
They
actually a
should put
good
the
idea.
food at the front door.
Yeah, that's not bad either.
Okay. Sorry. Next report, municipal manager, treasurer, deputy clerk, Alison Bracken, 2026 budget timeline.
I cannot believe that it is that time of year again, that we're doing budgets. So all of the managers currently have their draft 2026 budget, with them. I was to meet with them this week, but I will be off the remainder of the week in Toronto. So, I'll meet with them whenever we get back, and we'll be putting together kind of those draft numbers and what that looks like. And getting that to council at the latest, the first draft, November 18th. Similar to other years, we're hoping to have it out to the public 3 or 4 weeks and to council in substantial time, prior to meeting. If we can meet a little bit sooner, potentially, we may try for that as well, but we're on schedule similar to other years, in relation to budget. Is there anything from council that you would like to see different as far as timelines or?
Allison's favorite time of year, so.
That's why she took a couple of days off.
Budget's my favorite time of year.
The council approved the 2026 budget timeline as presented. All in favor?
By seconded by?
Moved by Councillor Johnson, second by Reeve Jennings. Your name's right on it. All in favor? Carried.
They're picking on you.
I know.
It's not even me.
Can I get fired?
We're getting close.
Ouch.
Just wait till it's his turn.
Yeah.
Municipal manager, treasurer, deputy clerk, Alison Bracken Fire Department, paying points to hourly wage.
Thank you, Chair. So, back to 2023 budget. We did a compensation pay equity review in-house. At that time, we did not do fire. Since that time, they did the fire master plan where they advised we should change from points to hourly wage, which this was not new to council, as far as that discussion. So in front of you this evening is some information to digest, and discuss. So, we did start, with some changes going to the officers of the fire department so that they really understood the difference between the points and hourly and what that would look like, as well as the fire department. We didn't want it going out in the public and potentially some misinformation, so we wanted them to understand the difference between the two, all while acknowledging that it has to come to council for approval and could be some changes or adjustments. So I think some of the recommendations, so I did include the PowerPoint presentation that went to fire. That was kind of an overview. So our current points versus hourly, so our current points for on-call is $1,000 per year per officer. So every weekend, an officer takes on call, so there's an officer that's gonna show up if there's any kind of fire event to make sure that there's that senior person at the scene. With the exception of the fire chief, he's not included, he doesn't get $1,000 for this. So the change to go to hourly, and the reason for it is that it would be so much per weekend on call to ensure that the person who actually takes the on call is being paid for it. So previously it was just $1,000 per year, but maybe every officer wasn't taking the same amount of shifts all year. So really just to pay the people who are taking the on-call for that. The pay rate, it was solely dependent, the points on how many calls you got, how many points were accumulated throughout the year. Whereas the pay rate would change to an hourly rate. We've included them on our current pay grid for, so you can see why they were scored or where they're placed, comparable to other positions. But the Reeve brought up a good point earlier that we can remove them from the grid and put them on the ENR bylaw with a stipulation that they get a COLA increase similar to any staff. So that they're separated, and on the ENR bylaw, because a lot of other municipalities keep them on the ENR bylaw. Annual pay. So for the last number of years, there's been a lot of change of this $500. So I think it originally, my understanding, came in to effect back a while ago, when they had members that weren't necessarily attending the community events. So it was that if you attend so many community events, you got that $500 pay for the year. It's kind of transitioned to just everyone was getting it. So we're trying to change it back to that $500 is an incentive for people to meet that 50% of training and 50% of call attendance. To kind of not completely remove it, but to change the directive of it.
Just to clarify, because if it's the community events, but that community events is deemed under training, correct?
Yeah, so what we're saying is that we don't want to give the incentive for the community events because that's going to be a stipulation in moving. Is that you have to attend so many hours of community events or so many things, that's kind of part of the job description. We want to make sure that people are attending the training and calls because that is health and safety of the department. And kind of making more the community events, somebody's going.
Yes.
Oh, there I just started.
Like a Three Stooges thing.
It's not. It's not. So we're kind of getting away from the, as far as the community events, because that will be an expectation with the position. Yeah. So training currently, is 3 points. We'll be transitioning to maximum of 2 hours per member unless pre-approved, by the chief for additional hours on training nights. The reason why we put that wording in is because in the summer they'll do 3-hour nights because people tend to have, there's more daylight, number one, so they can extend that training. Truck maintenance, they currently get 0 points for it. It's actually a very important exercise that they do. So it'd be maximum of 1 hour for any member that attends and participates.
So we don't have assigned shifts? Platoon 1, platoon 2 on a rotational basis?
No, so I asked the same thing because that is what I was used to for different things. They like it as a team building exercise and you'll see them whenever they're doing truck maintenance night, every truck is out and they feel like they can get through it quicker. And then also you're with a different person all the time, so you might be getting something different from depending on who you're with. Because I'm used to that, but ours were like, they got 2 hours for the truck maintenance whenever it was the platoons. So these guys like it that it's a night where everyone comes together and does this, for that. Officer meeting, they currently get 0, so maximum of 1 hour for the officers meetings, unless otherwise approved by the chief. Very rarely is it more than an hour, but that's where those like SOPs and things really get dug into before they go down to the fire members. Meeting secretary for those officers meetings currently getting 0, maximum of additional 1 hour if required, for minutes taking of that meeting. Fire calls are 3 points for the first 2 hours and 3 points for every hour after. We would be changing to a minimum 1 hour for any member that responds up to the hours attended at the call paid at the hourly rate. So all the above over the 1 hour would be rounded to a quarter of an hour. So again, this was explained that, so if you have a call that's only an hour long, you're getting 3 points, which is almost $60 based on last year's numbers, but you'd only get 1 hour pay now. So like there's some give and take on that. So training, is currently $150 for 8 hours. So what we're saying is that if the training is required for the position, so if you're an officer and there's a certain level of NFPA standard that you have to meet, you're paid the hourly rate, 4 hours for a half day, 8 hours for a full day for the training. If the training is not required, but a member wants to educate themselves to advance within the department, if approved by the chief, they would get the 150 for 8 hours, because it's a nice to have, but it's not a mandatory requirement for their job. But we also don't want to stop people from taking training to better our fire department. For that,
So what if it's only a half hour, like, or not a half hour, a half day, like the 4
then
hours?
it'd be $75. Yeah, it's just split. For that.
Cause sometimes it does run half.
Absolutely, they do. Yeah, good question. It's, and we can put that in there that it's 4 hours at 75. So currently the deputy fire chief has, a job description and, with requirements to complete and has a base pay of $7,500 plus any on-call, and training. So we're gonna change that over to the deputy chief will be, provided up to 20 additional hours from training or attending calls in the month to complete the job requirements in the job description. The hours will be approved by the fire chief with an associated time card submitted with details of work assignments completed. So instead of just that base pay, there's going to be the hours worked to get the pay. Training captain currently gets $150 for every 8 hours of time preparing for training. Keeping in mind that we do all the NFPA in-house. We don't do, which is very expensive to send them to Miss Mills. And then they just do the test with the fire marshal's office, which I think was last week or the week before, that they came and did it all, the new recruits. So the captain of training will be provided up to an additional 10 hours. If you do recall in the fire master plan, they called for a full-time position to be added, which we don't agree with, and you're gonna get that back in a report from staff. But just that they're provided up to 10 additional hours from training and attending calls in the month to complete the job description requirements and assigned tasks. So these hours will be approved, again, similar to the deputy chief by the fire chief, and a time card submitted. This is not all year. It really comes like, especially whenever you new recruits, it's heavier ended on that side. But as soon as they're completed, it does file back some.
Cause both those say additional hours. So
Outside of their, like the training, so they get paid their 2 hours to provide the training on training night. And then attending calls, we're saying 10 hours a month to prepare the lessons plans, get everything ready, do all those things. Or do like the actual training for the new recruits is not included. They weren't getting paid anything to do the training for the new recruits. So now we're saying, because the new recruits are weekly for 2 hours, yeah, and there was no pay. The training officer was just doing it. So we want to make sure that it's up to 10 additional hours. There might be months where there's not.
So like take this month, for instance, you said that we got new recruits. If it took 10 hours to do the training this month, they would be paid for that.
That's right.
As opposed to not getting paid for
That's
that.
right.
Cause currently they weren't, those hours were no points, no nothing.
That's right.
Okay,
Yeah,
so they're not volunteering their time. They're
That's
actually-
yeah.
but yet it's at 150 for every hour, 8 hours.
We changed that last year of just giving some kind of a supplement because there was nothing going to that individual for over 2 years. And we didn't think that that was equitable for the person providing all of that time. So all members, no extra hours or points. So what they're trying to do is encourage members to teach a training night or score documents to help the training officers, so that we don't only have one person doing it. So there's there's currently firefighters also taking training to be a training officer. So we're looking at that any member who teaches, so if the training officer prepares the plan, gives it to a firefighter, the firefighter would get an hour to prepare themselves to provide the lesson, and then an hour to score the papers and do the work. We're really trying, it's kind of like a, not even succession, but just having that, other people can take it on because the training side can be a lot with new recruits. Should be minimal cost, but it's still that incentive. And we do have a couple firefighters, like I said, that are taking the training and are interested in working their way into this. So pay dates. Normally points are paid on an annual basis in November, December, each year by check. Training is paid on a monthly basis, which changed a couple years ago, I think with the previous council. So the change moving forward would be pay will be all direct deposit, because the checks are chasing them down to even cash their checks is fun sometimes. And then fire as a group has asked that they maintain the annual pay. I, as a staff person who will be doing the paperwork, don't have an issue with that, so I would basically be getting all the time cards on a monthly basis and accruing that amount in, so council's gonna see it on a quarterly, it's not gonna be, a surprise. It'll all be there, but then the pay is actually at the end of the year. I think what they were asking for there is that there's not a lot of incentives when you're a volunteer. There's obviously some, but that's kind of one of those things that's a nice to have at Christmas time or right before Christmas, which is understandable. It's really just an accrual
So would this
on my
be,
side.
would this be just everything or everything but training or?
Everything.
So they
So
would
you're
just,
gonna see everything accrued. So like on the quarterlies, you're gonna see the wages.
so you're just paying them the once a
They
year?
haven't been paid, but I set up the
Okay.
accrual, so you're seeing where we're at within the year. But then the actual pay would happen similar to now.
Listen, I just have one question, since you did the finances, to your best of knowledge, because I know there's a lot more fires, it's gonna cost more money.
Mhm.
What do you foresee cost in the township money compared to what we were paying?
So I've done high level, like low and high. So low would be about 40,000 less than what we're currently paying. High is gonna be 40,000 more. We're hoping we're gonna be somewhere in the middle. So in the 2026 budget, I've included about 130, which right now we have 80 and 110. So I think I've included maybe 15 or $20,000 more, just to be safe. Keeping in mind that at the end of this year, our training line that I don't think will be fully spent. It's gonna be a recommendation to council to start setting up a reserve. So that similar to winter maintenance with the sand and salt, you have a good winter, obviously your costs are down, bad winter, your costs are up. We can pull from that reserve to keep the tax rate, the tax levy steady for the, other than small increases for COLA. A similar type of thing. But again, if it's a really bad year for fire, yes, we're gonna be up. If it's a good year, we could be low, but we wanna find that happy medium like winter maintenance and then have that reserve kind of established to be like, okay, if we need to pull, we can.
And one other quick question, when you were talking about when they all get together to clean the vehicles and things?
It's not clean, it's to go over all the equipment and
Oh,
take it all
sorry,
out.
okay, well,
Yeah,
maintenance, okay, maintenance.
yeah,
If only 20 people show up to do it, then it's only the 20 people
That's
getting
right.
paid, not the other 10, and I'm just using that.
show up
as
and
an
participate,
Participate, okay, thank
yes,
you, that's what I want.
not just show up.
Yeah,
Because there's a checklist that has to be done.
That's correct.
yeah, no, I realize that, I just didn't.
No, show up and participate and an hour max.
No, that's good.
I was gonna ask for like, if someone was to leave halfway through the year.
We would pay them
We're
out.
paying them at that point, right, the part of the.
Yeah, currently we don't, currently, because we have to calculate points for the end of the year. But if somebody was
Yeah, cause now
on an
it's
hourly, if somebody was to leave, we would pay them
at
out.
that point.
Yeah. They would be, yeah, that is a good question, because currently, because you have to wait for points, we can't do
Yeah,
that. Okay, so time cards, so a time card, will be established, which we have pretty much ready. And it will be submitted to the treasurer on a monthly basis for pay calculations, so that I can keep those numbers, up to date. Annual review, so currently there's none. So there will be each year, the fire member placement on the grid will be reviewed by the fire chief in conjunction with a performance review. Complete by the platoon captain. If a fire member has successfully completed all the components required for promotion, they shall be moved to the next step or provided similar to all of us staff as a recommendation to council to move. So they'll be treated similar to all of us in that sense. So this was for more within the fire department. I think there was a lot of questions about potentially, the full-time staff that we have that go to daytime calls, that they were getting paid from here and getting paid out of points. That's not how it works. So currently, they get paid if it's, our public works employee that's also full-time fire, and they go to a fire call during the day. They get paid just their regular wage to ensure OMERs aren't, being affected or anything like that. And
The pension.
and the pension, yes, right,
That's what
OMERS is
OMERS is
pension,
pension.
sorry guys, yeah, so the pension isn't affected. As we see it as a benefit to have these people that can respond to daytime calls, as a volunteer department. So that's how it's been, but that was a clarification, because I think there was some, maybe some confusion within the department that thought they were getting both, but they aren't getting points for those, it's just the regular pay. So we did some comparisons, and I really pulled, I didn't pull all fire departments, I pulled Montague's very similar to Horton out of Renfrew County. Size, like just population, we use them as a comparator for, the township pay review as well. And then Greater Madawaska and Lanark Highlands, because they're substantially larger, they cover 1,000 square kilometers each, where we're 250. So, it does show that we're very comparable, that we do a couple of different things that they don't do. So that extra 500 pay, if you're meeting those requirements, adds up over 100 hours, is $5 an hour increase. If you're meeting the calls, we do the on-call weekends. A lot of fire departments don't do where they have an officer on call that's going to show up if a call happens on the weekend. So those are some of the comparables there. I just kind of went over a comparison of pay with hours, so 100 hours versus 200 hours amongst the group, so that they could see the comparables, with some of the, not neighbors, but comparable municipalities. Again, so that people can see the comparisons and why, the positions or job descriptions are scored, in the pay that they would be. They're highlighted on the grid. They don't need to be on the grid, we can place them on the ENR bylaw. But I do believe there needs to be a stipulation so that they're not forgotten, that they get the COLA that regular staff get, because there was a number of years where that prior to 18, that they weren't getting COLA. So where they'll be placed on the grid, so there's going to be minimum training requirements, there's gonna be that, community event, attendance, meeting goals and objectives that are established. So some of those goals and objectives are going to be the community service. So if we have people who are always attending the community service, that might not be a goal and objective for that particular person, they may have a different goal and objective. But if we have people that are very rarely attending those, that might be a goal and objective for them to meet, to start attending more and helping in that perspective. So it's similar to staff, there will be the goals and objectives plus the minimum training requirements, which we will, on the ENR bylaw, it will be laid out to council of what they need. As our new recruits all leave their 12-month probation with their NFPA 1, so they come out with that, where some of the other organizations, that's like level 2, or depending on how they look at it. But again, we do the internal training, so it saves us substantial to be able to get them all through in that first year. So current versus hourly. So we did make it pretty clear that if it's a low fire year, you would actually do better on the point system than the hourly system. Because your points would be valued more, and that full $85,000 pot gets paid out amongst 28 people. On the hourly rate, obviously, if it's a high fire year, you're potentially going to do better. I don't think it's really about pay for them. I think it's about ensuring that the people who attend get the appropriate pay, for attending. So you will see that it's a slight change depending on, you can't really compare 100 points for 100 hours, because the first hour of a call was 3 points and we're paying 1 hour. So with the changes, you can't really compare point for hour, but just to give you an example. So I also give the example of 200 hours. I don't think we have anyone who has done 200 hours. Cause keeping in mind, they're not being paid for the community event side. So it takes a lot to get 200 hours in. Now you may start to see that the deputy chief would get with the job description and what's required of that position and the extra 20 hours. That position might be closer to the 200, or slightly over, but I would say maximum, you might have 5 or 6 people that would be near that 200 mark or over. So that was it to that. Now, keeping in mind, we're bringing back the whole ENR bylaw, which is establish and regulating the fire department, with the changes. So we currently, I didn't speak about, but the vacation pay, we currently already pay 4% to anybody under the 5 years, and everybody over the 5 years gets 6%. There's the WSIB is already at the maximum amount. We're not changing any of the benefits or any of that side of things. It's strictly going from the points to the hourly. But the whole ENR bylaw is gonna come back for you to see. This is really just the initial, like, we're going to include it, and get that back to you. To discuss and review, and that we include it. I have it in the 2026 budget already. Obviously, if council directs us differently, I'll change it, but knock on wood, based on average years, I don't see it being a huge change to us, if at all anything.
So I see this as being, you're incentivizing the fact that everybody will know what they're making per hour, as opposed to working on a point system that's really unknown until the end of the year.
Yeah, like I think with the point system, and again, I didn't get from them that it was really about the money. Like I said, sometimes I have to chase them down just to cash their checks, but I think it's that on the point system, if you have a really busy year, the calls that are closer to the end of the year, like now, you know your points are less and less valued. There was one year, I think the points were worth $9. So if you're leaving a $40 an hour job to get paid $9, I get you're serving your community, but in a current economic time like now, you maybe can't afford that change in pay, right? So if you take a full day, if it's a structure fire, 4 hours, and you're going from $40 an hour to $9, we have a lot of employers that pay them to come to fire calls because they appreciate what they do for the community. But if your employer doesn't do that, that's a big difference in pay.
No, I think it's important to have a set rate. It's also an incentive for new fire recruits. Should there ever be a turnover? At least it's kind of like, you know what you're working for. Like, yes, it's for community, yes, it's for whatever, but you also say, okay, I'm making X, which is kind of an incentive as opposed to, like you said, coming in at the end of the year and making $9 an hour. It's maybe a little disheartening at best. You doing it for your community, but I do understand I think this is the way that it should go. Now, the only thing is, on the point system, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm new to this, I don't pretend to know everything, I don't know everything. So the only thing I can see though is, in the point system, everybody shows up, you're all dipping from the same point system, you're dipping from the same pot. Now, if everyone shows up and you have a fire and you have 20 people there that and you don't need everybody, how does that work?
So what do you mean you don't need everybody? Because there's a lot of components to a fire call.
No,
Like
no.
20 people is not very many.
No, I'm being very on a small fire where everybody happened to be available, everybody happens to show up. When everybody showed up and it was a point system, you were essentially just stealing from yourself by keeping everybody there. Where in this case, you're having maybe too many people for the same, so does the fire chief then say, we got this under control, stand down, we only need 8, and he'll do that on his own
Yeah.
regulation?
So that process won't change. So it's no different than if they get a call for a motor vehicle accident.
Okay.
And 4 of them leave here in the rescue truck and they get there, they will stand everybody down.
Okay,
If they're like, we don't need anybody further, or whatever the case is, they stand them down from any further people responding.
Okay.
So that process won't change. As far as being stood down, depending on what's going on, or sometimes it's like a smoke alarm and they stand everybody down. Miles gets there, because it's during the day, he goes, he's like, stand down, it's just a false alarm, whatever the case is. That process will remain the same.
no, I was just, because now that we are doing a different system, if everybody's showing up on a call like that, if without a point system, it could end up being very, very expensive if we're not standing down appropriately, and that's why I want to.
Great point, and that's where, like, the point system, that first hour was 3 points.
Yeah.
So if the points are worth $20, you're getting $60 just to be stood down. Now you're gonna get, if you're a firefighter, it's the $25, right? So we're actually saving potentially on that 1 hour, like that stand down. Because again, they don't know until they show up on scene necessarily what they're getting into.
Yeah.
'Cause it's not always verbalized exactly what's happening.
No,
Or like an example is the accident that was right out in front of our office a couple weeks ago, that Ed saw it out his window and went to it, but they stood down the other, like nobody else came, because Miles and Ed and everybody
see
was
it.
right here,
Yeah.
right? They were on scene. But normally we would get the call and everything would roll, but we were here.
no,
So,
I was just making sure that, we're mitigating.
Yeah.
Circumstances to make sure that, I think it's great that the guys have the incentive and. But you don't want too much of an overlap where you're having too many people on unnecessary calls.
I don't know that we would ever get 20 people show up to a daytime call.
I was being
Yeah,
very,
yeah.
very extreme on the circumstance. Just to get the point across, but
Yeah.
that was the only.
That process won't change. So, again, you have to keep in mind that these people are leaving their jobs.
Oh, yeah.
So we don't wanna pull them if not necessary.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So they're not on the grid. What is it that you're gonna put them on then?
the establishing and regulating fire department, so that's their bylaw.
That's-
So it will specify like vacation, it's gonna specify because they're different, right?
Yeah,
They're not an
that's what I-
employee.
Yeah, that's what,
Yeah.
so their
So-
benefits, everything are not gonna be the same as if they were on the.
No, so the Reeve brought that up, saying, we need to make sure that it is very distinguished, so that's okay, but I still think from fire and council, you need to see how their pay came
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
be. But the ENR then will lay it out for them, I just think, as I stated, that it's important that in the ENR, it has a stipulation saying their pay changes based on COLA of staff, the pay grid.
Okay, it makes sense to me, so. Is that the way most other townships are set up?
Yeah,
It's like that?
I think we're like one of the only ones to still point system.
Yeah, they didn't even appoint us when I was a volunteer
Yeah.
in the 90s.
So most other municipalities that I'm aware of change with COLA. But I think in the same sense, with it being tied to the ENR bylaw or establishing and regulating, it will also make us look at that bylaw on an annual basis. Because we should bring it back to update similar to council pay. To really keep that
Yeah,
up to
because
date.
the volunteers are not actual employees.
It's a
Not the
very,
right way to word it,
yeah,
but
yeah.
you know what I mean.
There are some differences for, yeah.
Yeah.
Revenue Canada has some classification differences.
And so we wanna make sure that that is clearly. Kept that way, yeah.
So, I have some questions. But given that our department is the way that it is, it's small and we have certain positions. I don't wanna have discussions because it's not about people, it's about positions and the way things are in it. I would like to request that council have an in-camera session to allow some discussion. So I'm asking if council would approve for us to have an in-camera discussion, because technically it does get into identifiable individuals, which does allow us to go into in camera. But I would have to have council's approval to do that.
I'm good.
Yeah.
So,
So are you adding it to the council agenda in camera or committee of the whole, moving in now?
Well, if it's part of this, do we not deal with it now?
Yes,
That's the way I was taking it.
Yes. So should we ask if there's any questions before, because there's nothing
No,
after this
exactly.
one? Okay.
I know it's throwing a
We're
little
not
here.
approving this yet, though.
Yeah,
We're
so,
not
So we're back burner and that's, gotcha.
so then you're
asking questions on that.
gonna ask questions of the.
Any questions in the audience?
Oh, I've never heard tell of the rapid relief team. What do they do?
So basically during emergencies, they'll set up, it kind of like a Red Cross almost, like they'll set up, so if we have an emergency here, if we have a tornado blow through or whatever the case is, they'll set up and they'll supply food to the volunteers and look after all that type of thing. They're like worldwide.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
they're a big, if you Google them, they're actually, it's pretty neat, yeah. So there's, one of the locations is in Perth. So they use this as like training to supply food for a number of people and get their processes in
Yeah,
line.
okay, very good.
Yeah.
One other point, when you're talking about towing vehicles off the road. The accident was in front of my place a couple weeks ago. The tow truck driver did take pictures with the camera before he hooked onto it.
I think it's becoming a general.
I think it's becoming a thing because, that nobody wants to be liable for
Yeah,
everything, so it's a liability stuff.
Litigation is here to stay.
Any questions on that?
None.
So I guess we're gonna adjourn.
no,
We're not gonna do
Moving in.
And we're just
it.
getting,
Recess?
no, I'm going camera here, we're just getting some wording done.
Oh, she's good. Okay, we're all.
Handwriting.
I might need her to read it.
I can.
she writes small.
Thank you.
We're gonna read that.
It's rubber.
Yeah, same pressure.
Yeah. The only person who's ever told me I can sing is my daughter and she's tone deaf, so. You lie to your dad. That's nice stuff that way.
Getting purple.
I'm getting breakfast.
If you'd like, I don't oppose. 7:15 exactly.
The council moves into, yeah, we need a mover and a seconder.
I can't remember, or a second there.
Seconder. Okay, moved by Reeve Jennings, seconded by Councillor Bass, that council moves into closed session at 7:15.
7:15.
Still at 7:15 PM as per section 239(2) of the Municipal Act to address one item, fire department pay. More specifically, section 239(2)B, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, and that municipal manager, treasurer, deputy clerk Allison Braken, and clerk planning manager Kirsten Cote remain in the room.
All in favor? Carried.
Ready to start it.